Hey, good morning, everybody. Doug from Lumen Brothers here, and I'm in the basement of a historic home in beautiful, picturesque downtown Frederick, Maryland, and I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the scenarios that you may run into if you're purchasing a historic home or if you've already purchased one. One of the biggest things that we run into as electricians in Frederick is knob and tube wiring. We've talked about it a lot on the website, our social media page. If you don't know what knob and tube wiring is, real quick, it's basically the oldest wiring technology. And much of the homes and businesses in the heart of downtown Frederick that were built 100, 150, 200 years ago are still being powered by these wires. Now, it's fine, technically. There are provisions for it in the National Electrical Code. And there are ways that we can protect it if we can't remediate it entirely. But I just wanted to make this video because what we see more times than not is people will buy a house and they are told by the inspector that it does not have knob and tube wiring, only to have us in for a simple routine electrical procedure and we find it. And there's a common thing that we see that we like to call a knob and tube sandwich. And here's why. When you look at, let me flip this around. When you look at the joist down here, you see this 1940s or 50s era. This is modern Romex. This is modern SE cable. So you see these and you think to yourself, if you're an inspector, well, I don't see any signs of knob and tube wiring. And in fact, you can look over here. Look, this is the old porcelain knob that gives knob and tube part of its name. They would actually suspend wires through here. So it looks like on the surface there's no knob and tube wiring, but if you just take a quick look here, it is so easy to spot. So here, what they did is they sent new wire, maybe 80s, 90s era, into this box, and then coming out of this box, you can spot knob and tube every time because it's always going to be individual wires. This newer wire, this is definitely newer, this is a jacketed set of conductors. There's a hot, there's a neutral, or in this case, probably two hots and a ground. Hot, neutral, ground. But with knob and tube, each wire is individually sent through, if you can see this porcelain tube there, there's the tube and the knob and tube wiring. It's sent up through the ceiling and basically connects every bit of the lighting circuit and most of the outlets in the house. That box is right above the electrical panel. Now, your home inspector is not an electrical inspector and they're not an electrician, so I'm not knocking them. But I don't know how they missed that, because what happens is when you're buying these homes, and the reason we call this a knob and tube sandwich is because they basically clear all the knob and tube that's visible in the basement ceiling and all the knob and tube that's visible in the attic. But everything in between, all the floors, all the lights, all the outlets, all powered by that circuit. And the reason that's hard for me, for us, is because we have to have the conversation with the client to let them know that the wires controlling almost everything in their house are sometimes over 100 years old. They don't have a ground conductor and they're all tied together. And we think this is a bigger deal than it's being made out to be, because if you're purchasing a home, especially nowadays in Frederick, you're spending a lot of money. And if you're not told that you have knob and tube wiring in your house, number one, it's probably not covered on your homeowner's insurance if there's an issue. And number two, you just are completely unaware of the fact that you have this limitation to your electrical technology. And a remediation can be cumbersome and expensive. And that could have been a bargaining point for the people buying the home. Okay, there's knob and tube, well, remediate it and we'll purchase it from you, or whatever the case may be. But this happens all too often. In this case in particular, I don't know if they're telling the inspectors what to look for or not. But if you're gonna purchase a home in Frederick or, downtown historic area, and you wanna know whether or not it actually has knob and tube wiring, don't leave it to the house inspector. Reach out to us, we'll come out. We'll take a thorough look and let you know. Thanks.